Thank you very much for your time, colleagues. I have with me Lee Webster from the University of Texas Medical Branch, and he will be giving us an update on the International Standard for Healthcare Administration. Thank you very much, Lee, and please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mike, and welcome everybody to this briefing on how things are going with developing not only the healthcare administration standards, but also the HR standards, global HR standards. So in mid-November of this year, we held a plenary for the development of human resource management standards for ISO in Galveston, Texas. We had 40 attendees from 13 countries, and during the discussions, decisions were made to develop, or actually to produce this next year, a standard for the subject workforce planning, one for recruitment, one for a topic called human governance, and finally one that deals with the terms and definitions of human resources. So it was a very productive meeting. They also started new projects in the area of diversity and inclusion. What does it mean to have global diversity and inclusion? And then finally, one that is particularly interesting is developing a standard for what metrics or measures should go into investor instruments like annual reports and 10K. So the hope is within 3 years or so, there'll be actually a very prominent representation of the value of human capital in investor instruments. So that's a new project that we're going to start soon, actually led by the German delegation, and so we're excited about that. So the HR Standards Group, by the way, will be meeting. The U.S. TAG for the HR Standards effort will be meeting in Miami in May, and the next plenary meeting is scheduled for the early part of September in Singapore of next year. That's the HR work. For healthcare standards, as you may know, we are beginning that effort. The UTMB has been designated the Domestic Healthcare Standards or Healthcare Administration Standards Developing Body. So we have not established a first committee yet, but our plans are in the first quarter of next year to actually assemble experts and with the chairman, Dr. Tom Boat, start our inaugural or our kickoff meetings with domestic standards. As far as the international program is concerned, we recently heard from the folks at ANSI that the ANSI ISO Council has approved moving the idea forward to ISO to create a technical committee in the area of healthcare administration. That actually happened this week, so ISO is now actively voting on whether or not to create this technical committee. The vote concludes on March the 18th of next year, so we are hopeful by then that we'll know that yes, we'll be able to create this body, and then we hope to be able to at least provide support to the Secretariat and create a tag as well. And finally, as far as organizations that are aware and interested in this work, we recently developed a contact at the senior level of the World Health Organization, and they are setting up a meeting with us to talk about the international standardization work, so we're excited about that. Domestically, we had an opportunity to communicate this to the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and Secretary McDonald has delegated this to one of his undersecretaries to follow up on, so we're hopeful that we can make some progress with that organization. We've reached out to the CEO of Aetna, and he has responded to us, so we have meetings that will come in the early part of next year to actually bring the insurance companies into this discussion, because we see the creation of these healthcare administration standards as a way to reduce the cost of healthcare, which should be attractive to these insurance companies and to the companies that they support. And finally, we are also talking and have been talking to those bodies that regulate healthcare, both in the government, and that's CMS, and also these independent bodies like Joint Commission, and all of them are supportive and on board. So we feel that the healthcare administration standards, once we get all the approvals at the ISO level, will be ready to move forward. We're excited about it, and we encourage anyone who's interested in getting involved in that to reach out to me, Lee Webster, at the University of Texas Medical Branch. Thank you.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Lee. This update will include both the HR standard you're involved with and the healthcare administration standard you're involved with, and it'll give a bit of introduction to these other other documents that you alluded to earlier in your chat. So with that, I want to thank you very much for your time, and we'll continue privately.